Hey, 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 friends! Welcome to the Purpose Box. I'm really glad you're here today. And so, topic of discussion digital products. Yes, you know, a lot of people talk about passive income and all these big promises like make money while you sleep. But nobody really talks about what happens when you decide to treat this like an actual business, not just a side hustle or something you threw together on a weekend. And for me, that decision made all the difference. I'm going to walk you through how I went from launching my very first product. It actually sold over 100 copies that first month to building a business that brought in multiple six figures. And maybe more importantly, I'm going to share why I started this in the first place because, yes, I wanted to help people, but I also wanted freedom. I wanted to build something that would let me step back when I decide to have kids one day. And so, if you've ever thought about getting serious with your own digital products, or you're just curious about how this all works, I want you to just grab a drink and let's hang out for a bit. So, let's start from the beginning, okay? So, when I first launched my first product, I wasn't sure what to expect. I hoped it would do okay, but honestly, I didn't know if anyone would care. I remember randomly getting the idea, oh, my clients, they keep asking me to create templates for their business. Let me just create a set based on, my likes and see how it lands. I launched with the melanin Canva templates and then two other complementary based on what I think women would like. And so I launched it. And surprisingly, it took off. Yes, over 100 sales in that first month. I was so excited, and it also felt a little surreal like, wait, is this actually happening? But even then, I knew that this couldn't just be a lucky break. I kept thinking to myself, if I want this to last, I can't just cross my fingers and hope people keep buying. And from the very beginning, I was clear on why I was doing this. I wanted something that could create options for me so I wouldn't have to rely on services or burn out trying to take on too many projects. I wanted to know that if I wanted to step away and focus on my family or take a break, I wouldn't be stressed out about money. That is why I kept going, even when it felt like a lot to figure out. And so after that first launch, I had a choice, right? I could coast on that initial success or I could take it seriously. And if I'm honest, it was tempting to just keep winging it. But I knew that wasn't going to work long term, so I had to ask myself this. If this was a full time business, how would I show up differently? And that question changed everything. Because when you decide something is your business and not a hobby, you stop waiting for motivation. You start thinking about how you're going to keep growing, how you're going to take care of customers, and how you can treat something that lasts. And so I realized I had to stop overcomplicating everything and just start showing up consistently, even if it wasn't perfect. That mindset shift alone made a huge difference. And so once I decided this was my business, I knew I needed systems because I didn't want to feel like I had to be glued to my phone all day just to make a sale. So here's what I started with. I started with a few simple products that fit together. I didn't want to be known just for one thing. So I thought about what else my customers might need, and I built a little collection of offers. If someone bought one product, there was a natural next step. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we started with the social media templates. If they loved how customers engage with their social posts, it increased their conversions on social media. then imagine what a website could do, right? Same aesthetic, same marketing build up. And so naturally, someone buys a social media template, they will naturally want to make sure that their website also matches. So that's an example. You can think for yourself, what can that look like for you? And so I also made sure that I had emails that did some of the work for me. So I set up welcome email series. So when someone joined my list, they get to know me and see how I could help them. Later, I added abundant cart emails and followed up. Those alone brought in sales and I would have totally missed otherwise. Then you can't forget about content. Yes. You can't, post random stuff and, expect customers. Like, I literally had to approach this with intention. I had to think, what do I want this post to do? What am I leading people to? And honestly, if you're in this space, it literally does not have to be fancy. Even a basic plan is better than none. But one of the biggest things I learned is that you have to be flexible. Not every product is going to be a winner. And if I was to, let you in on a little secret, I've had templates that sold great, and I've had others that barely moved, and that's okay, right? I remember launching a suite of e-commerce templates, Wix templates, and I don't think I sold one. I designed three, and I did not sell one. Was a little bit disappointing, but I didn't make that, prevent me from creating stuff. Honestly, I pivoted. So one of those e-commerce sites, the name of it was Almond. I decided to refurbish it, enhance it, and make it a real estate template instead. And up to this day, y'all, that is one of my best selling templates. Yes, I've made over 5 figures from that template alone. So keep trying would be the piece of advice that I would give you. So here's one of the things that you'll have to get used to, and that is you need to start paying close attention to sales trends. For me, when something was selling really well, that was a sign to make more of it. And so your customers will always tell you what they want. You just have to listen. And so let's talk about pricing and trusting the value for a second, right? So pricing was something I struggled with a lot in the beginning. And if you're thinking about like launching a digital product, this is literally a part of the process. I started really low, like I was selling templates for, $17, $27 for the Canva templates in the beginning. I started low because I wanted people to feel like they could say yes easily. But over time, I realized underpricing was keeping me stuck. You know, if I, right, had to sell more to hit my goals, that actually kind of comes with a pressure. And to add to it, it really didn't reflect the value of what I was offering. So I decided to raise my prices. And yes, I was nervous. I worried people would stop buying. But you know what? The right people still showed up. And they actually valued the products more because the pricing matched the transformation they were getting. And so if you're struggling to raise your prices, I totally get it. But just remember this: when you treat this like a real business, you have to price it like it too. And so let's talk about testing and retiring, you know, products. I know this sounds like a master class, but I'm getting to it, y'all. Something is coming soon. So, something I wished more people talked about is how normal it is to test ideas. You don't have to build a massive product before you know if people want it. Sometimes I just share the concept on Instagram or ask my audience if it sounded helpful. Other times, I put up a wait list or a pre sale and see who signed up. That's how you validate without wasting a ton of time, right? So I know a lot of us may have like really great ideas, like, you know, we want to launch like a full suite and, invest a whole lot of money into the thing. But here's the thing, you have to really see if there's actually a demand for it first, or you may end up disappointing. Well, remember, it's still just a part of the process. So by doing this, that's how you would validate without wasting a ton of time. And if something does not sell, it's not the end of the world, okay? I've retired products before and was honestly a relief. But instead of forcing something that wasn't working, I could focus on the stuff that was. And so if you've got something collecting dust in your shop, maybe that's your sign to let it go, or at least put it on the shelf for now. And so I want to come back to why this matters beyond just making money. For me, that was about creating freedom, freedom to step away when I needed to, freedom to have options when I decided to start a family, freedom to build something that isn't tied to my hours or my energy every single day. And I want that for you too. Because when you have a product that can sell without you constantly launching or chasing clients, it just feels much lighter. You don't have to be on all the time. You can actually build something that supports your life instead of the other way around. And so, before we wrap up, okay, I want you to think about a few things. Are you treating your digital products like a hobby or a business? What's one simple system you could put in place this month to make things easier? Is there something you need to let go of so you can focus on what's actually working? Friends, you don't have to figure it all out today, but you can decide to take it seriously. And if you do, you'll be amazed at how much can change. If this episode was helpful, share it with a friend or tag me in your stories. I'd love to hear what you're building. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Talk soon, friends.